First contact. The vast emptiness of space had always fascinated humanity. For centuries, we gazed at the stars, wondering if we were alone in the universe. Little did we know that our first step into the galactic community would forever change our perception of our place in the cosmos. It was a typical day at the SETI Institute when Dr. Elena Rodriguez noticed an anomaly in the data stream. At first, she dismissed it as background noise, but as she analyzed it further, her heart began to race. The pattern was too regular, too purposeful to be natural. "Holy shit," she whispered, her eyes wide with disbelief. "This is it. This is really it." Within hours, the news spread like wildfire. Governments scrambled to respond. Scientists worked around the clock to decipher the message, and the public was gripped by a mixture of excitement and fear. The signal, as it turned out, was a distress call from a distant star system. Humanity, in its infancy of space exploration, faced a monumental decision. Do we answer the call and risk exposing ourselves to unknown dangers, or do we remain silent and potentially miss our chance to join the galactic community? The debate raged for months, but in the end, the spirit of exploration and the desire to help prevailed. Operation Starreach was born, a joint effort by Earth's nations to construct humanity's first interstellar vessel. The ISV Prometheus, a marvel of human engineering, stood ready in Earth's orbit. Captain Sarah Chen, a veteran astronaut and brilliant tactician, led a crew of the brightest minds Earth had to offer. As they prepared for humanity's greatest journey, none of them could have predicted the true nature of the universe they were about to enter. The Prometheus's maiden voyage was met with great fanfare. Millions watched as the ship activated its experimental FTL drive, disappearing in a flash of light. For the crew, the journey was a blur of excitement and anticipation. As they approached the source of the distress signal, Captain Chen's voice crackled over the ship's intercom. "All hands, prepare for first contact protocols. This is not a drill." The tension on the bridge was palpable as they entered the alien star system. What they found, however, was beyond their wildest imagination. A massive space battle raged before their eyes. Ships of various designs and sizes clashed in a dazzling display of advanced technology. Energy weapons crisscrossed the void, and explosions bloomed like deadly flowers in the vacuum of space. "My God," whispered Commander Jack O'Neill, the ship's tactical officer, "what have we stumbled into?" Before Captain Chen could respond, the Prometheus shuddered violently. A stray energy blast had grazed their shields, nearly overloading them. "Evasive maneuvers," Chen barked. "Get us out of the line of fire." As the human ship desperately tried to navigate the chaos, they received a transmission. The universal translator, hastily programmed based on the distress signal, struggled to keep up. "Unknown vessel," a gravelly voice echoed through the bridge. "You have entered a restricted war zone. Identify yourself or be destroyed." Chen exchanged glances with her crew. This was it. Humanity's first words to an alien civilization. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the ISV Prometheus, representing Earth. We received a distress call and came to offer assistance. We mean you no harm." There was a long pause, and for a moment, Chen feared they had made a grave mistake. Then the voice returned, this time with a hint of surprise. "Earth, we know of no such world. Your ship's design is primitive. How did you achieve interstellar travel?" Chen bristled at the word primitive, but kept her cool. "We developed our own FTL technology. Please, can you tell us what's happening here?" Another pause. "Fascinating. You may have stumbled into something far beyond your comprehension, Earthlings. This conflict is between the Galactic Confederacy and the Zarkol Empire. The distress call you received was likely a trap." As if on cue, a massive Zarkol warship decloaked dangerously close to the Prometheus. Its weapon systems powered up, targeting the human vessel. "Shields to maximum," Chen ordered. "Evasive pattern delta." The Prometheus narrowly avoided the first salvo, but they were grossly outmatched. As Chen prepared to order all power to the engines in a desperate attempt to escape, something unexpected happened. A sleek, silver ship interposed itself between the Prometheus and the Zarkol warship. It unleashed a barrage of energy weapons that sliced through the Zarkol's shields like they were paper. "Earthlings," the gravelly voice returned. "It seems you have much to learn about galactic politics, but anyone who opposes the Zarkol is a potential ally. Follow us if you wish to survive." As the battle raged around them, the Prometheus fell into formation with their unexpected savior. The human crew watched in awe as they were led through a hidden wormhole, emerging in a sector of space far from the conflict. Before them stretched a vast space station, unlike anything humans had ever conceived. Ships of countless designs docked and departed, and strange beings could be seen through massive viewports. "Welcome," the alien voice said, "to Starhold Alpha, the heart of the Galactic Confederacy. Your arrival here is unprecedented. The Council will want to speak with you immediately." As the Prometheus approached the docking bay, Captain Chen turned to her crew. Their faces reflected the mix of emotions she felt: fear, excitement, and determination. "Well, ladies and gentlemen," she said with a wry smile, "it looks like humanity just got thrown into the deep end of the galactic pool. Let's show them what Earth is made of." Little did they know, humanity's reputation as the galaxy's least intelligent species was about to be put to the test, and in the crucible of interstellar politics and warfare, they would prove that sometimes being underestimated is the greatest advantage of all. The galactic community. The ISV Prometheus docked at Starhold Alpha with a gentle thud, its crew still reeling from the events of the past few hours. Captain Sarah Chen led her team through the airlock, stepping onto the alien station with a mixture of trepidation and wonder. They were greeted by a delegation of beings so diverse it made their heads spin. Towering insectoids stood alongside floating gas bags and what looked like sentient crystals. At the forefront was a humanoid figure with iridescent skin and eyes that seemed to contain entire galaxies. "I am Zalvera, Chief Diplomat of the Galactic Confederacy," the being said, its voice melodious and yet somehow grating. "Your arrival has caused quite a stir, Earthlings. The Council awaits." As they were led through the station, the humans couldn't help but gawk. Holographic displays showed star systems they'd never dreamed of, while beings of all shapes and sizes went about their business. Some eyed the humans with curiosity, others with disdain. The council chamber was a vast amphitheater, with representatives from hundreds of species seated in concentric circles. The humans felt small and primitive as they stood before this assembly of advanced civilizations. A being that looked like a cross between an octopus and a tree rose to speak. "We are the Galactic Council, governing body of the Confederacy. Your unexpected arrival raises many questions, humans of Earth. How did a species unknown to us achieve faster-than-light travel?" Captain Chen stepped forward, her voice steady despite her nerves. "We developed our FTL drive independently, based on theoretical physics," and she was cut off by a chorus of laughter from the assembly. "Impossible," shouted a being made entirely of swirling plasma. "Your ship is centuries behind our technology. You expect us to believe you cracked the FTL problem on your own." Chen felt her cheeks burn with embarrassment and anger. "With all due respect, we may not have your level of technology, but we are not liars. We came here in response to a distress call, hoping to help." The laughter died down, replaced by murmurs of disbelief and curiosity. Zalvera raised a hand for silence. Regardless of how they got here, the fact remains that the humans have stumbled into a galaxy at war. The Zarkol Empire grows stronger by the day, and we cannot afford to turn away potential allies, no matter how primitive. The word stung, but Chen bit her tongue. This wasn't the time for pride. Over the next few hours, the humans received a crash course in galactic politics. The Confederacy, a loose alliance of spacefaring civilizations, had been locked in a centuries-long conflict with the expansionist Zarkul Empire. The Zarkul, a species of energy beings, sought to harvest the life force of entire planets to fuel their ascension to a higher plane of existence. As the briefing concluded, Chen couldn't shake the feeling that they were being patronized. The council spoke to them as if they were children, explaining concepts in the simplest terms possible. "We understand this must be overwhelming for your young minds," Zalvira said, not unkindly. "Perhaps it would be best if you returned to your ship and rested. We can discuss your role in the Confederacy tomorrow." As they were escorted back to the Prometheus, Commander O'Neill leaned in close to Chen. "Did you notice how they kept talking down to us? It's like they think we're idiots." Chen nodded grimly. "They see our tech and assume we're centuries behind them in every way. But maybe we can use that to our advantage." Back on the ship, the crew gathered for a debriefing. Dr. Rodriguez, their chief scientist, was practically bouncing with excitement. "Captain, the scientific knowledge we could gain here is astronomical. But I couldn't help but notice some inconsistencies in their explanations." "What do you mean?" Chen asked, leaning forward. Rodriguez pulled up some data on her tablet. "Their FTL theory is sound, but inefficient. And their energy weapons, the underlying principles are similar to what we were working on back on Earth, just scaled up." O'Neill chimed in. "Their tactics in that space battle were pretty straightforward too. Effective, sure, but nothing revolutionary." A plan began to form in Chen's mind. "So what you're saying is, despite their advanced tech, they might not be as far ahead of us as they think." "Exactly," Rodriguez nodded. "They've had this technology for so long, they've stopped innovating. They're resting on their laurels." Chen stood, addressing her crew. "All right, listen up. We're in over our heads here, no doubt about it. But we got something these aliens don't expect: human ingenuity. They think we're dumb. Let's use that. We'll play the part of the wide-eyed primitive species, all while looking for ways to turn this situation to our advantage." The crew nodded, a spark of determination in their eyes. They were humanity's first representatives in this vast galactic community, and they were determined to prove that Earth was a force to be reckoned with. Over the next few days, the humans immersed themselves in the alien society. They asked questions, played dumb, and soaked up every bit of information they could. The aliens, amused by their seemingly childlike curiosity, were all too happy to show off their technology. What they didn't realize was that behind every wide-eyed stare and naive question, the humans were analyzing, adapting, and planning. Dr. Rodriguez made breakthrough after breakthrough, reverse engineering alien tech with astonishing speed. O'Neill studied their military strategies, finding weaknesses and inefficiencies. And Chen, playing the part of the humble, overwhelmed captain, was quietly forging alliances with some of the Confederacy's less prominent species. It was during one of these meetings, with a representative of the Tinthar, a race of silicon-based life forms, that Chen's gambit paid off. "Your kind puzzles us, Captain Chen," the Xinthar said, its crystalline form shimmering. "The Council sees only your primitive technology, but we sense potential. You ask questions others have long since stopped asking." Chen allowed herself a small smile. "We're new here. Sometimes a fresh perspective can see things longtime experts miss." The Xinthar's crystals chimed in what Chen had learned was laughter. "Indeed. Perhaps it is time for the Confederacy to stop underestimating the dumb humans. We have a proposal for you, one that could change the course of this war." As the Tinthar outlined their plan, Chen felt a surge of excitement. Humanity was about to show the galaxy that intelligence came in many forms, and being underestimated could be the greatest advantage of all. Little did the Galactic Confederacy know, their patronizing attitude towards the newcomers was about to backfire spectacularly. The dumbest species in the galaxy was about to teach them all a lesson in humility, innovation, and the indomitable human spirit. The threat emerges. The Galactic Council chamber was in an uproar. Holograms flickered, showing the devastation wrought by the latest Zarkol offensive. Entire star systems had gone dark, their life force drained to fuel the Empire's insatiable hunger. Captain Sarah Chen stood with her crew, watching the chaos unfold. In the weeks since their arrival, the humans had been carefully gathering information, making allies, and preparing for this moment. Zalvira, the chief diplomat, raised his hands for silence. The situation is dire. The Zarkol have developed a new weapon, one that can drain a planet's core energy in a matter of hours. Our defenses are crumbling. A wave of despair swept through the assembly. Species that had been at each other's throats moments ago now huddled together, united in their fear. Chen exchanged a glance with Commander O'Neill. It was time. "If I may speak," Chen said, her voice cutting through the din. The council turned to her, some curious, others dismissive. The humans wished to contribute. The plasma being from before scoffed. "What could you possibly offer in this crisis?" Chen smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. "How about a way to stop the Zarkol weapon?" The chamber fell silent. Then, as one, the council erupted in disbelief. "Impossible. They're lying. How could primitives like them succeed where we failed?" Zalvira raised a hand for silence. "Captain Chen, these are bold claims. What evidence do you have to support them?" Chen nodded to Dr. Rodriguez, who stepped forward with a holographic projector of their own. As she activated it, a complex 3D model appeared, showing the inner workings of the Zarkol planet killer. "We've been studying the weapon's energy signature," Rodriguez explained. "It operates on principles similar to our own experimental zero-point energy research. We believe we can create a resonance cascade that would neutralize the weapon's effect." The council members leaned in, their earlier dismissiveness replaced by intense interest. Chen could see the gears turning in their alien minds, reevaluating their perception of humanity. "How did you come by this information?" Zalvira asked, his galaxy eyes narrowing. Chen allowed herself a small smirk. "We asked questions. We observed. And we thought outside the box you've all been stuck in for centuries." The Xinthar representative chimed in, its crystalline form vibrating with excitement. "We can confirm the humans' findings. Our own scientists have validated their theories." A murmur ran through the council. The humans had allies, and their proposal had merit. But doubt still lingered. "Even if this is possible," a tentacled being gurgled, "developing and deploying such a countermeasure would take years. Years we don't have." "Not necessarily." Commander O'Neill stepped forward. "We've drafted a plan of attack that could turn the tide in a matter of weeks." As O'Neill laid out the strategy, using the Confederacy's resources in ways they'd never considered, Shen watched the council's reactions. Surprise gave way to grudging respect, and finally, to hope. But not everyone was convinced. The plasma being flared brightly, its voice crackling with skepticism. "This plan is insanity. You would have us risk everything on the ideas of a species that hasn't even mastered basic antimatter containment." Chen had been waiting for this moment. "You're right," she said, her voice level. "We haven't mastered antimatter containment. We haven't built Dyson spheres or harnessed the power of black holes. But do you know what we have done?" She paused, making eye contact with each council member. "We've survived. On a planet you'd consider a death world, we clawed our way up from the mud. We've faced extinction-level events and thrived. We've turned our violent past into a drive to explore and connect. And we've done it all without the benefits of your advanced technology." The chamber was silent now, all eyes on the human captain. "You've been fighting this war for centuries, using the same tactics, the same technology, over and over. You're so advanced that you've forgotten how to adapt, how to think creatively. But that's what humanity does best. We're not just survivors, we're innovators." Chen's voice rose, filled with passion and determination. "You call us dumb because our ships aren't as fast. Our weapons aren't as powerful. But intelligence isn't just about technology. It's about using what you have in ways no one expects. And right now, what you have is us. The question is, are you smart enough to use us? The silence that followed was deafening. Then, slowly, a sound began to build. It started with Xinfar, a crystalline chiming that Chen recognized as applause. Soon, others joined in, a cacophony of alien sounds that all meant the same thing: acceptance. Zalvera stepped forward, his iridescent skin shimmering with what might have been excitement. Captain Chen, you have given us much to consider. The council will recess to discuss your proposal. But know this, you have shaken our perceptions today. Perhaps we were hasty in our judgment of humanity. As the council filed out, Chen's crew gathered around her, grinning from ear to ear. That was one hell of a speech, Captain, O'Neill said, clapping her on the shoulder. Chen allowed herself a moment of pride. Thanks. But this is just the beginning. If they accept our plan, we've got our work cut out for us. Dr. Rodriguez nodded, her eyes gleaming with the prospect of new scientific challenges. We'll be pushing the boundaries of theoretical physics. It's exciting and terrifying. That's humanity in a nutshell, isn't it? Chen said with a laugh. Exciting and terrifying. Let's show this galaxy what the dumbest species can really do. As they waited for the council's decision, Chen couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation. They were on the brink of something monumental. Win or lose, humanity had made its mark on the galactic stage. The Zarkol threat loomed large, a seemingly unstoppable force of destruction. But they had never faced anything like humanity before. In the coming battle, creativity would trump raw power, adaptability would outmaneuver advanced technology, and the underestimated underdogs from Earth would show the galaxy that sometimes the smartest thing you can do is embrace your inner dumb human. The stage was set for a conflict that would reshape the galaxy, and at the center of it all stood humanity, ready to prove that intelligence comes in many forms, and that being underestimated might just be the greatest advantage of all. Turning the tide. The next few weeks aboard Starhold Alpha were a whirlwind of activity. The Galactic Council had approved the humans' plan, albeit with considerable reservations. Now, it was time to put their ideas into action. Captain Sarah Chen stood in the newly established war room, surrounded by a mix of human crew members and alien allies. Holographic displays flickered with real-time battle data from across the galaxy. The Zarkol had begun their push towards the Centauri cluster, Commander O'Neill reported, pointing to a cluster of red indicators on the map. If they take those systems, they'll have a straight shot at the core worlds. Chen nodded grimly. Then that's where we make our stand. Dr. Rodriguez, how are we coming on the resonance cascade device? The scientist looked up from her data pad, dark circles under her eyes betraying long nights of work. We're close, Captain. The Xinfar crystals were the key. They can channel and amplify the energy in ways we never imagined. But what? Chen pressed. Rodriguez hesitated. The device will need to be deployed directly into the heart of the Zarkol planet killer. It's essentially a suicide mission. A heavy silence fell over the room. Chen felt the weight of command pressing down on her shoulders. She was about to respond when an unexpected voice spoke up. I will pilot the mission, came the melodious tones of Zalvera. The iridescent diplomat had become a frequent presence in their planning sessions, his initial skepticism giving way to genuine admiration for human ingenuity. Chen turned to him in surprise. Zalvera, we can't ask you to. You don't need to ask. Zalvera interrupted, his galaxy eyes shimmering with determination. My people are long-lived, but we have forgotten how to truly live. You humans have reminded us of the power of sacrifice, of fighting for a cause greater than ourselves. The room erupted in a mix of protests and words of support. Chen raised her hand for silence. We appreciate the offer, Zalvera, but let's focus on refining the plan before we discuss who's flying the mission. We're not losing anyone if we can help it. As the meeting continued, Chen couldn't help but marvel at how far they'd come. Species that had once looked down on humanity as primitive now eagerly sought their input. The humans' crazy ideas had become the cornerstone of the Confederacy's strategy. One such idea was now taking shape in the shipyard's orbiting Starhold Alpha. Chen stood at the viewport, watching as swarms of construction drones swarmed around a massive skeletal framework. "Quite a sight, isn't it?" O'Neill said, joining her at the window. Hard to believe it started as a napkin sketch in the mess hall. Chen nodded, a smile tugging at her lips. Project Trojan Horse. The Zarkol won't know what hit them. The project was the brainchild of Lieutenant Yuki Tanaka, the Prometheus's young engineering prodigy. It was a massive ship, designed to mimic the energy signature of a resource-rich planet. The plan was to lure the Zarkol planet killer into a trap, allowing them to deploy the resonance cascade device without sacrificing a pilot. "Captain," a voice crackled over the intercom. "We're picking up a transmission from the Centauri cluster. You're going to want to see this." Chen and O'Neill rushed back to the war room. On the main screen, a scene of devastation played out. The Zarkol fleet had arrived in force, their planet killer casting an ominous shadow over a populated world. "We're out of time," Chen declared. "We need to move now, ready or not. Prep the Prometheus and alert our allies. We launch in 2 hours." The next hours were a blur of activity. Ships from a dozen species formed up around the Prometheus, an unlikely armada united by desperation and hope. At their center was Project Trojan Horse, not fully complete but functional enough for their needs. As they prepared to jump to the Centauri cluster, Chen addressed the fleet. "We face an enemy that believes itself invincible. They see us as primitive, as prey. But today we show them the error of their ways. Today we prove that innovation trumps stagnation, that determination beats complacency. Today we turn the tide." A chorus of cheers in 100 alien languages answered her. Then, as one, the fleet jumped into the unknown. They emerged in chaos. The Zarkol fleet was everywhere, energy beams lancing out to strip entire planets of their life force. For a moment, even Chen felt a flicker of doubt. How could they hope to stand against such power? But there was no time for doubt. "Execute Operation Pied Piper," she ordered. Project Trojan Horse surged forward, its energy signature flaring like a beacon. The Zarkol, sensing a rich target, took the bait. Their planet killer turned, its maw opening to consume this unexpected feast. "They're charging weapons," O'Neill reported. "Resonance cascade device is ready for deployment." Chen took a deep breath. This was it. Everything hinged on this moment. Launch the device. All ships prepare for Phase 2. The tiny probe carrying the resonance cascade device shot out from the Trojan Horse, streaking towards the heart of the Zarkol weapon. At the same time, the rest of the fleet sprang into action. Zinthar ships, their crystalline hulls refracting energy beams, darted between larger vessels. Plasma beings unleashed storms of electromagnetic fury, and the Prometheus, piloted with near-suicidal bravery by Lieutenant Commander Vasquez, flew directly at the Zarkol command ship. Resonance cascade initiated. Rodriguez's voice was triumphant. "It's working." On the main screen, Chen watched as the Zarkol planet killer began to convulse. Arcs of energy played across its surface, its carefully controlled systems thrown into chaos. And then, with a silent flash that seemed to ripple through subspace itself, the dreaded weapon exploded. A cheer went up across the fleet, but Chen knew the battle was far from over. All ships pressed the attack. Don't let them regroup. What followed was the stuff of legend. The Confederacy fleet, powered by human strategies and alien technologies, tore into the reeling Zarkol forces. Ships that had known nothing but retreat for centuries now surged forward, emboldened by their unexpected success. Hours later, as the last Zarkol ship flickered and vanished into hyperspace, Chen allowed herself to relax. They had done it. Against all odds, the dumbest species in the galaxy had changed the course of an intergalactic war. As debris from the battle drifted past the viewport, Chen turned to her crew. Their faces were tired but triumphant. "Well done, all of you. But remember, this is just the beginning. We've shown the galaxy what humanity can do. Now we need to help build a future where no species is underestimated, where diversity of thought is celebrated." O'Neill grinned. "In other words, we need to teach a bunch of ancient aliens some new tricks." Chen laughed. "Exactly. It's time for humanity to take its place in the stars. Not as conquerors, not as servants, but as innovators, mediators, and friends." As the fleet regrouped and began the journey back to Starhold Alpha, Chen couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders, and humanity had just taken its first real step into that greater community. They had been underestimated, dismissed as the dumbest species in the galaxy. But in the end, it was that very underestimation that had allowed them to save it. As they traveled home, Chen wondered what other adventures awaited them in the stars. Whatever came next, she knew one thing for certain: humanity was ready for it. Humanity's triumph. The grand hall of Starhold Alpha buzzed with an energy unlike anything seen in millennia. Representatives from every corner of the Galactic Confederacy had gathered for an historic occasion: the formal recognition of humanity as a full member of the interstellar community. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the center of it all, flanked by her crew and a delegation from Earth. The past year had been a whirlwind of diplomacy, technological exchange, and continued skirmishes with the remnants of the Zarkol Empire. But today marked a new beginning. Zelvira, now serving as the head of the Galactic Council, stepped forward. His iridescent skin shimmered with barely contained excitement. "Esteemed colleagues, honored guests, today we write a new chapter in our shared history. We gather to welcome the humans of Earth into our ranks, not as subordinates, but as equals and innovators." A cheer went up from the assembled crowd, a cacophony of alien sounds that nonetheless conveyed a single emotion: joy. "But more than that," Zalvira continued, "we are here to acknowledge a debt. A debt to a species that, in our arrogance, we once dismissed as primitive. A species that taught us the value of thinking differently, of never giving up, and of finding strength in diversity." Chen felt a lump form in her throat. She thought back to their first arrival, how they had been patronized and underestimated. Now, the most powerful beings in the galaxy looked to humanity with respect and even admiration. Zalvira turned to Chen. "Captain Sarah Chen, please step forward." As Chen approached, she saw O'Neill give her a thumbs up from the sidelines. Dr. Rodriguez wiped a tear from her eye, while Lieutenant Tanaka beamed with pride. "Captain Chen," Zalvira intoned, his voice carrying across the hall. "You and your crew exemplify the best of humanity. Your courage, creativity, and compassion have not only saved countless lives, but have also opened our eyes to new possibilities. In recognition of your service, and as a symbol of the bright future we will build together, I present you with this." From a shimmering energy field, Zalvira produced a small object. As Chen took it, she realized it was a perfect replica of the Earth, crafted from materials found across the galaxy. At its core, visible through the translucent continents, pulsed a tiny star. "This artifact," Zalvira explained, "contains the combined knowledge of the Confederacy, freely given to humanity. May it light your way as you light ours." Chen's voice shook slightly as she responded. "On behalf of Earth and all humanity, I accept this gift with gratitude and humility. We came to the stars seeking new frontiers, new knowledge. What we found was a community, vast and diverse, facing challenges that can only be overcome together." She paused, looking out over the sea of alien faces. "We may not have the most advanced technology. We may not have the longest lifespans or the most exotic abilities. But what we do have is an unquenchable spirit of exploration, a drive to innovate, and a willingness to stand up for what's right, no matter the odds." A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. The Zarkol thought they could divide us, that they could prey on our differences. Instead, they united us. In working together, we've all grown stronger. Humanity is honored to join this grand tapestry of galactic civilization. We have much to learn, but we also have much to offer. Together, there's no challenge we cannot overcome, no frontier we cannot explore. As Chen finished speaking, the hall erupted in applause. Species that had once been bitter enemies now stood side by side, united in their appreciation of the galaxy's newest members. The ceremony transitioned into a celebration, with foods and drinks from 1,000 worlds being shared. Chen found herself at the center of it all, fielding questions and congratulations from beings she could scarcely have imagined a year ago. "So, Captain," a gravelly voice said from behind her. Chen turned to find the plasma being who had once dismissed humanity so callously. "I owe you an apology. We all do. You've proven that intelligence comes in many forms." Chen smiled. "No apology necessary. We're all learning and growing together. That's what this is all about, isn't it?" As the night wore on, Chen found a quiet moment with her crew. They stood by a viewport, Earth's gift cradled in Chen's hands, as they looked out at the vast expanse of space. "Hard to believe how far we've come," O'Neill mused. "From being called the dumbest species in the galaxy to this." Rodriguez nodded. "The scientific advances we've made, the theories we've proven, it's beyond anything I could have dreamed. And the engineering challenges we've tackled," Tanaka added excitedly. "Project Trojan Horse was just the beginning. Wait until they see what we're working on next." Chen looked at each of them, feeling a surge of pride. You know, maybe being underestimated wasn't such a bad thing after all. It gave us the freedom to surprise everyone, including ourselves. "So what's next, Captain?" O'Neill asked. "We've saved the galaxy, joined the interstellar community. What's left?" Chen's eyes twinkled with excitement. "Everything, Commander. We've taken our first steps into a larger world. There are new species to meet, new technologies to develop, new challenges to face. And beyond that," she gestured to the star-filled void, "there are whole other galaxies out there. Who knows what we'll find?" As if in response to her words, a notification chimed on their communicators. A new anomaly had been detected at the edge of known space, something that didn't match any known phenomenon. The crew exchanged glances, matching grins spreading across their faces. Without a word, they turned and began making their way towards the Prometheus. The celebration could wait. There was exploring to do. As they prepared for their next journey into the unknown, Chen reflected on their incredible journey. They had come to the stars as the underdogs, dismissed as the dumbest species in the galaxy. But they had proven that true intelligence isn't about having all the answers. It's about never stopping asking questions, never ceasing to wonder, and never backing down from a challenge. Humanity had found its place among the stars, and the galaxy would never be the same. As the Prometheus's engines hummed to life, Chen gave the order she knew her crew was waiting for. "Let's see what's out there." The ship accelerated smoothly, leaving Starhold Alpha behind. Before them lay infinite possibilities, new frontiers to explore, and challenges to overcome. The dumbest species in the galaxy was ready for whatever the universe had in store. After all, they had already proven that sometimes being underestimated is the greatest advantage of all.